Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Caesar's Palace for 12 rounds of boxing. In the red corner, from Los Angeles, California, wearing the red trunks with the gold trim, weighing in at 125 pounds, the lightweight champion of the world, Danny Little Red Lopez. Well, Bill, our winners get a home theater receiver. That's right. Experience the full potential of high-definition video with this 72-channel digital home theater receiver from Yamaha. But wait, that's not all. They also get a 5.1-channel surround sound system from Mirage. With 5 palm-sized speakers and a compact subwoofer cube, the MX 5.1 brings you huge immersive sound with Mirage's omnipolar technology. All from the Spiegel catalog, Chicago, Illinois, 60609. And they're taking closer order as down the stretch they come. Mr. Hot Stuff has 3 lengths to make up with chocolate candy last. On the rail, take the points behind that gallant son with chocolate candy gaining on the outside. In the lead is Pioneer of the Nile being tackled by chocolate candy. They're neck and neck as they come to the wire. And Pioneer of the Nile holds off chocolate candy and wins the Santa Anita Derby. And now, on your feet, time to greet holder of 14 NBA titles, your home team, your Los Angeles Lakers. Number 3 at 6'8", 5th year out of UCLA, playing forward, Trevor Ariza. Starting at center, number 17 at 7 feet, 4th year out of St. Andrews High School, Andrew Bynum. And at guard, number 24, 6'6", 13th season out of Loyal Marion High School, Kobe Bryant.
We've invented so many amazing things in history, universities, we've algebra, soap, yeah, bitch, soap, coffee, we've done all that, but we can't work together. If an Arab guy has a falafel shop and another guy has a falafel shop across the street, he'd be like, how much? $4.99? Fuck you, $3.99. $3.99, fuck you, $2.99. $2.99, free, fuck you, free. I'll get the loan, we both go out of business and die, alhamdulillah.
Good morning. It's Friday, Parenting Friday, November the 7th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and the collapse of parenting. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. End of Maria, beginning of Stu.
For a Friday. John Lonsky.
Well, right now, we have quite a slowdown in hiring activity. And now, in addition, we have increasing layoffs. This points towards slower consumer spending. Taken together, this practically assures a December rate cut. And if we're ever going to get housing growing again, we need to have that 10-year yield no higher than 3.5%.
And Cheryl, we had news from Kevin Hassett. He said we were expecting 3% growth for the fourth quarter. It's looking like half of that, 1.5% growth for the fourth quarter, Cheryl. I think it'll probably be worse than that. What do you think?
I think that you've been bringing up repeatedly the economic cost of the shutdown, and that plays into this right now. I brought up the issue of cargo because that's also being disrupted. I found this quote from Brandon Freed, who's with Air Forwarders, and he said air cargo depends on every part of the aviation system working in sync. If capacity is cut, the supply chain slows. The longer the shutdown continues, Maria, the worse it will get for the supply chain of this country.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a great 3 hours. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, everyone, and a great weekend. I'll see you tonight on Maria Bartiromo's Wall Street. John Lonsky, Cheryl Casoni, great to be with you. Varney and Company picks it up now. Stay with us, Stu. Take it away.
All right. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. It's already looking grim at the airports. The policy of restricting flights has started. Already this Friday morning, thousands have been cancelled or delayed. And it gets worse throughout the weekend. If your flight's been cancelled, you are entitled to a full refund, but charges like hotels and meals, not covered. The pressure is on to open the government so air traffic controllers can get paid and get back to work. A group of Senate Republicans has a new plan to end the shutdown. It is not clear what's in it, and it's not clear if the Democrats will accept it. But even if there is a deal today, it will take several days to get air traffic control back to normal. Let's get to the markets. Here's what we're seeing. Dow down 110, S&P down about 23. But look at the NASDAQ. It's off 127 points. That's where the action is again, the NASDAQ. Down 100 points now. A 450-point drop Thursday. There's more AI bubble talk, and stocks are down. Bitcoin. No bounce back, $100,000 a coin, $100,288. That's your price. At one stage earlier, it had dropped below $100,000. The price of gold just above $4,000 an ounce, $4,006. The 10-year treasury, silver, $48 an ounce there. As for the 10-year treasury, we have the yield coming in at 4.11, go back up again. And the 2-year, that was at 3.57 moments ago. That's where it is now. Look at Tesla. Shareholders overwhelmingly approved Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package. He would be the first trillionaire, but it's getting a political reaction to it. The left is taking aim. He doesn't need all that money, so take it off him. Expect a tax attack on Elon, and the stock is down just a little. On the show today, Edward Lawrence has an exclusive interview with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He's in South Carolina touring a rare earth magnet facility. President Trump has a plan to cut the price of weight loss drugs. We'll be talking to Dr. Oz to see if there are other drugs that may get cheaper too. He's a useful guy, by the way. He again rushed to help a man who fainted in the Oval Office. And then there's COP30, the big UN climate conference. It has begun. Did you notice? Unlike in previous years, this big climate conference has drawn very little interest. My opinion, the climate crowd is in retreat. Voters don't like paying higher energy prices for the promise of climate benefits decades down the road. Going, gone. It's Friday, November the 7th, 2025, Varney and Company.
And that's Maria and Stu, Nonprofit News Now. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is a little clip of Bill O'Reilly that illustrates what I was talking about a day or two ago.
The tariffs is a national security situation. It has not been portrayed that way by the corrupt media, but it is. If you have a country that is declining economically, that is a threat to your security. So Germany, for example, is in bad shape economically because of its woke posture and quasi-socialism. The United States is fairly strong, stronger than Russia and China, our adversaries. But if we were to have a recession here, and that, remember, led to the election of Barack Obama, then we would be weakened. So President Trump is determined not to let that happen, and he has instituted these tariffs to stop the federal trade deficit. Now, when I say those words, federal trade deficit, I know you're either going to change the channel or your eyes are glazing over, and if you're older, you may have passed out already. I know how boring this is. I am going to make it. I can't promise it'll be exciting, but it won't be boring. So a trade deficit is when the United States sends more money, corporate money, out than it takes in.
Okay, so we can stop right there. But again, this is what I was talking about the other day, where he says, well, he's lost in the facts. And the Republicans double down, triple down, quadruple down on the facts. They never work. Nobody listens. Nobody pays one bit of fucking attention to their stupid fucking facts. Nobody gives a rat's ass, and they know it. Bill O'Reilly has confessed. I know it's boring. I know you're going to tune out, but I'm going to be a fucking moron, and I'm going to talk to nobody. Because if everybody's tuning out, then he's talking to no one. And also his sponsors should be taking note of this and talking to him and saying, why are you discouraging people from listening? But anyways, these idiots are facts bound. Facts. And we don't listen. They know we don't listen. They know we don't want to listen. And instead of saying, you know what, maybe we're fucking up here. Maybe we need to do something differently. Why did Mom Dami or Mommy or Scammy Dami Faflami or whatever the fuck his name is, why did he win in New York? Not that anybody cares. So what? Fuck him. Fuck New York. Who cares whether the New Yorkers want to commit economic suicide? Let them do it. Well, what do I care? What does anyone care? But why did he win? Here's an idea, Mr. O'Reilly. Why don't you look in the fucking mirror? Why don't you and everybody else in the Republican Party look in the fucking mirror? That's where you'll find your answer. Because you assholes keep boring the fuck out of people with the facts. We're going to force the facts on you that the only problem in the United States of America is that the electorate isn't as smart as we are. It's not as smart as Bill O'Reilly. It's not as smart as John Cobelt. It's not as smart as whoever. And so we're just going to hammer the facts. Oh, Leo Terrell, the king of the facts. He used to have a show on KBC before he became a part of the Trump administration, and he was king of the facts. And nobody listens. Nobody cares, right? So these assholes, they don't pay any attention. They lose people. They drive people out of the voting booths, and then they can't understand why Republicans are losing. And they refuse to learn. They refuse to learn. They refuse to look at themselves and saying, maybe it's us. Maybe we're the ones making a mistake. So, back in a minute. Thank you. Now, a commercial, and sometimes commercials speak louder than the programs themselves. Here we go.
Why don't my kids talk to me?
Kids start saying their first words between 10 and 14
I
months.
stopped talking to my dad until he bought me a car.
What was that?
You should buy them a car.
Can I get a latte, please?
Okay, so this is it's called BetterHelp or something, and it's about therapists, getting a better therapist. So again, he's trying to use some type of computer program to get an answer to his question. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when a parent that says, how come my kids won't talk to me? And you might have people that are going to come up and ask you that question. Gee, I'm having problems with my kids. They don't talk to me. It's because they're liberals. Okay, that's what I would be telling this guy standing in line. You're a liberal. That's why your kids don't speak to you. You raised your kids sovereign. Okay, that means they get to do whatever the hell they want. Okay, now you're reaping the rewards or the punishment, the consequences at least, of that activity, of that sovereignty. Okay, and if he then asks, well, what should I do about it? I would be telling him, it's too late. If your kids are not talking to you, it's too late. You have set your children and yourself up for a significant diminishment of your quality of life and their quality of life. And there's nothing you can do about it. You could have done something about it years ago, but now it's too late. So, back in a minute. Thank you. So, with the commercial, this is something I just thought about after I finished my last little commentary about that commercial, that one of the brainwashes of the left is hope. It sounds great. Hope, 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 hope. But at some point, it's hopeless. Their message to us is not just hope, but that there's always hope. And it's a lie. It is an absolute lie. And it's done so that you keep going on a path of self-destruction. They tell you to do things, go out and be an activist, go run out in the street and go attack the ICE people and the ICE stations. And you go out and you waste your time, waste your energy, waste your money doing exactly that. And if things don't work out, then they say, well, there's always hope. You get arrested, there's hope. You've got an arrest record now, there's hope. If you get convicted, well, there's hope. If you get put in prison, there's hope. No, not always. Sometimes there is, sometimes it's hopeless. There's times when you reach a point of no return, you get to the point where there is no more hope, and there's nothing else that you can do. And yet that's part of being an adult, is figuring that out. And so you plan your life accordingly. You don't put yourself in a position where you're going down a blind alley and find out too late that you have wasted your time, wasted your money, wasted your energy, and there's no longer anything you can do about it. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Marine Le Pen.
La gauche française et européenne veut refaire des juifs des parias. Voilà. Et accessoirement, peut-être un jour, les faire partir, parce qu'ils commencent à avoir tellement peur en Europe et en France que pour certains, ils se disent qu'ils n'ont pas d'avenir dans notre pays. Et c'est dramatique, parce que notre pays est le leur. C'est leur pays. on s'attaque à des étudiants parce qu'ils sont juifs, on s'attaque à des chanteurs qu'on veut interdire d'Eurovision parce que ils sont juifs, on s'attaque à des gamins parce qu'ils sont dans un avion et qu'on leur demande de descendre. Mais tous ces actes-là devraient susciter une indignation majeure, massive. Vous noterez que tous ceux qui soutiennent en réalité cela, ce sont des gouvernements de gauche. La gauche française et européenne.
And that was Marine Le Pen. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the collapse of parenting.
Chapter 9. Misconceptions. When I meet with parents, some questions come up again and again. Parents want to do the right thing, but they are sometimes reluctant to try because misconceptions get in the way. We now have the foundation in place to address each of these misconceptions. Here's the first. I'm worried about a rebound effect. If I try to be the kind of parent you describe, and I force my child to behave virtuously, whatever that means, then when she goes away to the university and she's on her own, I'm worried she will do all kinds of crazy things, which she wouldn't have done otherwise, because I have prevented her from doing stuff she wants to do. She won't have learned how to make good choices on her own. Longitudinal studies, such as those we considered in the previous chapter, are helpful in answering this question. Those studies show that in general, well-behaved kids are more likely to grow up to be well-behaved adults. Kids raised by more permissive parents are more likely to get into trouble as adults. Trouble with alcohol, trouble with drug abuse, trouble with anxiety and depression. Investigators in the United States launched an ambitious study in 1994 of more than 20,000 American kids, drawn from every part of the country, urban and rural, Asian, Black, Latino, white, affluent and low income, East Coast and West Coast, Midwest and South, etc. They gathered data when most of these kids were 12 to 14 years of age, and then periodically for 14 more years. Researchers who have analyzed these data have found that the children of authoritative parents did better in school, were less likely to get drunk, and were less likely to engage in unsafe sexual practices, not only in their early teenage years, but also in their 20s, compared to the children of parents who are less authoritative. They went on to have healthier, happier romantic relationships in young adulthood. As adults, they had healthier babies, even after adjusting for demographic variables such as race, ethnicity, and household income. The late psychologist Diana Baumrind, who conducted research at the University of California, Berkeley, for 58 years, from 1960 until her death in 2018, established the modern field of parenting research. Before Baumrind, guidance for parents was based primarily on the beliefs of the person giving the advice, without much hard evidence to support that advice beyond that person's own experience. Baumrind and her colleagues carefully and systematically assessed how parents interacted with their kids when the children were young, spending at least 30 hours with each family, observing how the parents related to their children. Baumrind's team then studied outcomes for each kid many years down the road. Baumrind divided parenting styles into 4 categories, which we can refer to as too hard, too soft, just right, and not there. Baumrind herself used the terms authoritarian, permissive, authoritative, and neglectful. I have always found it confusing that Baumrind used two similar-sounding words, authoritarian and authoritative, to describe two very different parenting styles. Too hard, authoritarian parents rarely show any kindness or love to their child. They often make unrealistic demands. The children of these harsh parents are more likely than others to become abusive parents themselves 20 years down the road. The children of too hard parents are also more likely, when they become adults, to have difficulty sustaining romantic relationships. Too soft, permissive parents are good at expressing love and affection for their child, but not so good at enforcing the rules. The children of too soft parents are more likely as adults to have problems with drug and alcohol abuse, more likely to struggle financially regardless of their actual income because they find it difficult to live within their means, more likely to be anxious and or depressed, and more likely to be convicted of a felony. Just right, authoritative parents communicate their love for their child, but they also enforce the rules fairly and consistently. The rules may bend on occasion when necessary, but they don't break. Over Dr. Baumrind's more than 5 decades of research, she accumulated overwhelming evidence that the healthiest parenting style is the just right style, the authoritative style. The children of just right parents are the most likely to have good outcomes, no matter which outcome you look at. They are the most likely to be gainfully employed, the most likely to have lasting romantic relationships, the most likely to be in good physical and mental health, and not to be addicted to drugs or alcohol. Just right parents are strict, within reasonable bounds, and also loving. By the year 2000, there was broad agreement among researchers that authoritative parenting, just right parenting, yields the best outcomes for kids. But in the years before her death in 2018, Baumrind was concerned that the term she had invented way back in 1966, authoritative parenting, was being watered down. The wide endorsement of authoritative parenting has been accompanied by a definitional drift away from its original meaning, she wrote. Many parents, and even many researchers, had begun to act as if there is a tension between strict and loving, that you can be either strict or loving, but not both. But Baumrind's research proved that notion to be wrong. The parents whom she found to be just right parents were both strict and loving. The mistake made by many parents, and even by many researchers, Baumrind wrote, was in equating high control with low love and positioning authoritative parenting midway between love and control. On the contrary, authoritative parenting, as defined by Baumrind, is characterized by being both power assertive, her phrase, and high in love, unconditional love. She criticized researchers who believed that unconditional love means unconditional acceptance. You can love your child unconditionally, she insisted, while still correcting your child's mistakes and insisting that your child abide by the rules. If you are not enforcing the rules, if your kids regard you as loving but not strict, then you are too soft. Amer was concerned not only that there had been a shift in American parenting from authoritative to permissive, from just right to too soft, but also that parenting researchers themselves had softened and misunderstood authoritative parenting as she had observed it and as she had defined it. Baumrind wrote, misunderstanding of parental authority and of the authoritative construct is fostered when parental control and love are represented as opposite ends of the same continuum, rather than as two independent dimensions. So I want you to imagine a left-to-right continuum with low control and high love at the left end of the spectrum, high control and low love at the right end of the spectrum, and authoritative parenting roughly halfway in between the two. According to Baumrind, that's the wrong way to think about parenting styles. Love and control are not on the same axis. Instead, they are two independent dimensions. So instead, now imagine a two-dimensional graph with control on the x-axis and love on the y-axis. The permissive parent is low on the control axis and high on the love axis. The authoritarian parent is high on the control axis, but low on the love axis. The authoritative parent, the just right parent, is high on both the control axis and high on the love axis. There is a fourth kind of parent, the neglectful parent, who is low on both love and low on control. You will find no discussion in this audiobook of the neglectful parent. Neglectful parents don't buy parenting books. You are not a neglectful parent. Neither am I. That is not our temptation. The key point Baumrind is making is that there is no contradiction between loving your child and having high expectations, exerting parental authority, and being strict. The authoritative parent, the just right parent, loves her child and shows her love for her child, while also setting the rules, enforcing consequences, and having high expectations. Are you too hard, too soft, or just right? When I present these three categories, either one-on-one when I am counseling a parent, or in a workshop for parents, almost every parent says that they want to be just right. But what they consider just right is different from what their parents would have considered just right. Over the past 30 years, the American notion of just right has shifted steadily away from authoritative to permissive. That's what concerned Baumrind in the years before her death. This shift helps us to understand the question from the parent who is concerned that her daughter's behavior will rebound if the parent enforces a virtuous code of behavior while the daughter is in middle school and high school. Many parents today believe that stricter parenting now will result in a rebound into degenerate behavior when their kids go away to college. Sometimes this belief is an after-the-fact rationalization for too soft parenting. In other words, it's a way of justifying what the parent is going to do anyhow. When I ask parents why they believe that stricter parenting now will result in more reckless behavior by their child a few years down the road, they often respond by citing a movie about a teenager who had puritanical parents, or by mentioning something they saw a few years back on a TV show. I answer these parents by pointing out that the research provides no support for this notion. Indeed, the research flatly contradicts it. But rather than harp on the scholarly studies, I ask the parents to consider whether this same notion would make sense in any other context. Suppose you are hiring a new employee, and you have to choose between Sonia and Vanessa. Sonia's previous employers tell you that Sonia always shows up for work on time, never cheats or steals, and never uses company time for personal chores. Vanessa's previous employers tell you that Vanessa often shows up an hour or two late for work. She has stolen office property and then lied about it. and she often scrolls through TikTok when she's supposed to be working. Would you say, I'm sure Vanessa has gotten rid of all her bad impulses, so now's the time to hire her? Would you say, I won't hire Sonia because she's so repressed. Odds are good that she is going to rebound sometime soon? No, you wouldn't. In this example, the prospective employer is following a rule which used to be well known to American parents. Virtue begets virtue, and vice begets vice. The employee who has a record of being honest and virtuous in the past is more likely to be honest and virtuous in the future. In the workplace, Americans understand this. But at home, they forget. This notion of rebound is based not in evidence, but in the popular culture of the early 21st century, not a reliable source of information. And this notion is propagated, I believe, in part by the desire of at least some parents to justify to themselves their own too soft parenting style. Don't accept this notion of rebound. Don't believe it. As I said in the previous chapter, if you train your son or daughter in the way they should go, then when they grow up and leave home, you have significantly improved the odds that they will behave wisely. Virtue begets virtue. Vice begets vice. Next question. I'm worried that if I follow your advice, my child will be an outcast. He will be the only one who isn't allowed to play Grand Theft Auto or RDR2. I'm worried that he will be unpopular, and he will blame me for that, and he will be right. I'm trying to find the right balance here. I was a guest on the Today Show alongside Dr. Meg Meeker, author of Strong Fathers and Strong Daughters and Strong Mothers, Strong Sons. Dr. Meeker is also an experienced pediatrician who happens to have 4 kids of her own, 3 daughters and 1 son, Walter. The best part of being on Today that day wasn't being on the show, but hearing the stories Dr. Meeker shared with me while we were waiting in the green room. She related to me how she told Walter, beginning at age 12, no more video games, no video game devices. You're not wasting your time on that. Her daughters didn't have much interest in video games. Walter complained, all the other boys are playing Call of Duty. I'm the only one who isn't allowed to. Mom said, too bad. When Walter turned 18, he said, I'm an adult now. I have money that I earn from my jobs. I'm going to go and buy an Xbox and some video games. Mom said, fine. 1 year later, near the end of his freshman year at college, Walter called his mom. I just made $400. Guess how I did it? Mom said, no idea. I sold my Xbox and all my video games. They were just gathering dust anyhow, Walter said. He continued, Mom, you would not believe it. There are so many guys at college who expect you to be really impressed that they can kill 8 aliens in 10 seconds in Halo. And I'm like, dude, you can't even talk to girls. Walter explained that he saw so many other guys at college who had started playing these games many hours a week at 10 or 12 or 14 years of age. These boys defined themselves as gamers. Their sense of self was tied up with their proficiency at playing video games. But Walter had a different perspective. During those crucial adolescent years, when he was not allowed to play video games, he had developed a wide array of hobbies and interests, as well as people skills, which the gamers were less likely to have. I have been counseling addicts of every kind for more than 30 years. One robust truth about addiction is that the younger you are when you become an addict, the harder it is to kick the habit. If you start smoking 1 pack a day around age 25, it will be easy to quit. But if you start smoking a pack a day at age 13, it will be very difficult to quit. Age matters. If a boy starts playing video games 10 or 15 hours a week when he is 9 or 12 or 14, those games may imprint on his brain in a way that won't happen if the boy starts playing when he is 18. Once the process of puberty is fully complete, once the boy becomes a man, once the girl becomes a woman, the areas of the brain responsible for anticipating consequences and thinking ahead are stronger. Now, let's return to the question at hand. Do the benefits of restricting what video games your son plays outweigh the assumed costs of his being less popular as a result? I gave a presentation to parents in which I shared recent research on video games. I focused on longitudinal research in which investigators followed a large cohort of kids over several years to see how and whether the kids changed as a result of the kinds of video games they played, after adjusting and controlling for all other variables. This research strongly suggests that kids who spend many hours a week playing violent video games, such as Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty, become more selfish, less honest, and less patient. Not right away, not after a week or a month, but after years of playing these violent games. After reviewing multiple studies on the long-term outcomes of playing first-person shooter video games, such as Grand Theft Auto, I recommended banning such violent games from the household. If your son wants to shoot things, help him join a local skeet club instead. And if your child is going over to a friend's house, call the parents ahead of time and ask whether the kids will be permitted to play really awful, violent video games, such as Grand Theft Auto, in which the gamer is rewarded for killing unarmed bystanders and rewarded for killing police officers. If the other parents allow those games to be played, then your child should not be allowed to go to that friend's house. That child can be invited to your house instead, where you are in charge. This recommendation struck one parent as unduly harsh. She said that my recommendation was totally unrealistic. There's no way I can police what my son is going to do at someone else's house. In addition, she was worried that if she even tried to enforce a ban on violent first-person shooter games, such as Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, then her son would be less popular because he would be the only boy who wasn't allowed to play those games. I'm worried that he will be unpopular, and he will blame me for that, and he will be right. I'm trying to find the right balance here. Let's unpack the multiple assumptions which are driving this parent's concerns. Assumption number 1, it's important for my child to be popular. False. Being popular in the United States in the 21st century often entails unhealthy behavior and attitudes, beginning with disregarding the authority of parents. Evidence suggests that being popular in the United States at age 13 today may actually be a major risk factor for bad outcomes in early adulthood. You need to be clear in your own mind about what's important. Helping your child to become kind, well-behaved, and self-controlled is important. Your child being popular with lots of kids his own age is not important. Assumption number 2. It's unrealistic for me to hold my child responsible for behavior outside my home. Also false. I have observed many just right parents closely and firsthand over the past 30 years in my medical practice in Maryland and more recently in Pennsylvania. every just right parent I have known expects their child to behave outside the home as they do when they are at home. There is a word for that consistency of behavior. The word is integrity, and it is one of the traits linked to conscientiousness. Just right parents do not hesitate to call or even occasionally to drop in without warning at their kids' friends' homes to check on what their kids are doing. That's one way to teach integrity. Assumption number 3. Parents should find a balance between too hard and too soft. True, but misunderstood. The parent who asked this question had accepted the contemporary American notion that parents have to choose between being strict or loving.
Okay, so that was the first half of Chapter 9, Misconceptions. And again, he still fails to understand that we got a divide in this country, and a cultural divide at that, between liberals and conservatives / normal people. Okay, so the people that are saying the way they discourage people from going back and being conservative parents is by telling or brainwashing them into believing that that's, like he said, the extremes, that you have a choice of one extreme or a choice of the other extreme. There's no middle ground, as it were, and it's just not true. He explained that by showing that there is the Goldilocks solution: not too hot, not too cold, just right. But again, it would help a whole lot if he would simply identify that the parents that are, especially the ones that are resisting his ideas, are liberals. They're liberal parents, and they are what they've been looking for. The guy that wrote the book about sovereign children is looking for a perfect parenting style. The way that you look for a perfect parenting style is by starting from scratch. That's why you always start from the status quo. If you want to get a realistic answer to your questions and problems, you start with the status quo. You ask yourself, what is it that I usually do? In parenting, what that means is, what did my parents usually do? One of the best things you can do if you want to be a good parent is simply remember, what is it my parents used to do? Take the good stuff, leave the bad stuff, and then you're going to be more likely to be a good parent. Not perfect, but good. Because as would-be conservatives, true conservatives, we know and understand that there is no perfect society. There never has been, and there never will be. So we take it as it comes, we make the presumption for the status quo, and we change when change is necessary and obvious. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative of the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that determinism is a choice.